Skillous showed us some pretty damn good PvZ, but his PvT, perhaps his weakest matchup. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it would be my guess. And I'll go into it in a second. In the bottom left, as the red Protoss for Cascade, he is Skillous. And in the top right, as the blue Terran for Mouse, it's HeRoMaRinE. Skillous, PvP has to be tested. There's so many good Protoss nowadays in Europe. I think PvP is kind of automatically a good matchup for every Protoss, which means that some people have to have worse PvP. I know, I realize how that works, but still. I would say he's one of the better ones. Just because I think he's actually, in general, one of the better Protosses amongst all these, like, up-and-comers, guys really making names for themselves. So I think PvP is great. I think PvZ is great. I think PvT is where I see him struggle the most, but consider this, it's because I do watch him up against, basically, HeRoMaRinE, like, all the flipping time. That's what it feels like anyways. So it's either HeRoMaRinE or Euthermal that I see him up against, or Clem. There you go, or Clem that I see him up against. Soul has a very particular TVP, so I don't actually think I see him versus Soul that often. And if he does go up against Soul, Soul probably has one of the more unique TVPs of Europe right now. Euthermal is like his weird cheeses and all-ins and all that stuff, but Soul plays like this very defensive, almost passive matchup. But anyways, so yeah, Skillous is up against some of the best players in the world right now. Clem's like, you know, Clem, he's so hot right now, right? And HeRoMaRinE has just been actually sometimes, like, I'm like flabbergasted sometimes by how he wins matches in this tournament. And it feels like it doesn't happen as often in these, like, majors, right? In the DreamHack tournament coming up, I don't think HeRoMaRinE's going to shock and awe me with how much he wins, but last week, him versus Clem, and then he had like a matchup before that. Both of them was just like, oh my god, HeRoMaRinE is tearing heads off of people. Jesus, calm down. So Skillous is up against those types of guys. So I know Skillous can take on Terran, but he right now, I'll always say it, I've said it for the past couple of weeks at this point, so people are probably gonna be like, stop saying this. Skillous right now in this matchup feels like he is fantastic if nothing happens to him, but something always happens to him. He always gets hit by a Widow Mine shot that he shouldn't be. He always finds, like, the Dark Shrine gets found out, and he has to, like, recover from that. When he gets to a certain point, I don't see anything particularly wrong with what he does. It's just that he's already in a terrible position. So it's like, stop dying. It's kind of where I'm at right now with Skillous. And then he can reach his true potential. But HeRoMaRinE, well, you might be like, well, HeRoMaRinE's a guy that doesn't kill people too early, is he? Right? He's a macro guy. He's a macro guy. You're not wrong, but his macro is often like 4 Hellions into 3rd CC, and the 4 Hellions kill 12 of his probes. And you're like, what the fuck? That's supposed to happen. Jeez, come on. So, I was wondering if HeRoMaRinE's going to do a quick 3rd CC this game. It does not look that way. Going up to a Widow Mine drop first. And then 2 more barracks, I would assume. He's got his Reaper Hellion scouting combo. Reaper in the main base going to see everything it needs to see. Robo timing as well is really nice to see. And then he gets a count. So he sees 1 gateway, Twilight Council Robo, and 1 gateway in the natural. Even if he hadn't seen the 3rd Nexus, you would have known there was a 3rd Nexus on the way. There's the 4-gate build that we know is aggressive. There's the 3-gate build that can be kind of either or. And there's the 2-gate build that is always more macro-oriented. I'm sure you guys can figure out based off of numbers being smaller or larger as to why those all would reflect that. But yeah, so 3rd Nexus was known about, scouted, easy peasy. HeRoMaRinE has all the deets. And actually does not go for the faster 2 barracks follow-up here, but rather adds on a 3rd CC fairly fast. Is that a reaction? Or is that on like what he was going to do anyways? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Because you can go both directions from the 1-1-1 situation. And it's not atypical to see a 3rd CC after the 3 barracks. But anyways, 3rd CC before that. He also is actually building off of his factory and starport still and not just using them to swap off. So Tech Lab building tanks and Raven, singular Raven, and then swap off. So a really nice setup to maybe continue producing tanks. We'll see if HeRoMaRinE is doing that like some other Terrans are. Wouldn't mind drop, get into the natural, please. I just talked about this. Please, for the love of God. Why? How? Oh, God. Sometimes I feel like a prophet, you know? People are like, does ZombieGrub know the game? Does she even know Starcraft? Does she even know who Skillous is? What the Terran race is? I mean, I think she's just bronze, honestly. And I'm like, fuck you, I just called that. I just described this situation where you 9 probes isn't the worst possible thing, but you really should only be losing 2. And it's just crazy. It's crazy how much Skillous' probes are attracted to HeRoMaRiNE's units so that they continue killing themselves. Like, what? Why? How? How does this keep happening? Anyways, so he also doesn't grab the medevac, which is just, 9 probes and the medevac dies. Alright, but 9 probes and nothing dies. God. HeRoMaRinE, stop it. But Skillous is going to continue on doing his thing. I mean, one of the nice things about this game in particular is that he already got a bit of a boost. He already got that third Nexus up really nicely timed, so it's like, at least it wasn't very conservative, defensive, passive play into getting 9 probes lost. There is that. Nice observer coverage. Skillous has some excellent map presence. He actually just was maybe even chronoing out those observers. So he's got 4 observers. Don't really have to put one with your army yet. Drilling claws, or rather armories, right? Armories will come into effect later with the Widow Mines, but not quite yet. So just using them to get all the information. He is setting up a bit of a bopping squad. You see an army that you can bop and you run on top of it, but you're not actually looking to commit. And in this case, he would be really regret committing. This is a squad that will no longer find a tank out of position or something like that. Needs to go back home and needs to defend. HeRoMaRinE. His 3rd CC was so well timed as well. His macro is so perfect. And his build is looking terrifying. Skillous, down 30 army supply. Only with equal upgrades. Doesn't buy any amount of time. No Widow Mines taken out here. This might just be a disaster. Oh god, and the interference may jump with the Colossus. How did he even know? I thought that Raven was being mismicroed, and it wasn't. Oh my god. Ah! Oh, HeRoMaRinE wins this one. HeRoMaRinE literally rips the heads off of his opponents in this tournament. It's like in all the other tournaments, there's like a shotgun to the face. Still pretty brutal, but whatever. In the Open Cup, HeRoMaRinE looks especially good. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Skillous, besides losing 9 probes, I think also just didn't have as much prep for that push. He would, you're supposed to buy a little more time with the stalkers. It's supposed to kind of threaten the siege up, That's what the army in the middle of the map might have been attempting to do. And then you could even say, like, because that was such a nice timing attack, that him pumping out 4 observers instead of 2 and then into Colossus was also a fairly big mistake. Observers don't feel like a lot, especially if you're not the Protoss player. You're like, oh, duh, just make a bunch of observers, really cool. But when you're actually trying to get to Colossus, when you're trying to defend against one of the sharpest attacks possible, that extra 150 gas from 2 observers, probably be better off building a faster robotics bay or a faster Colossus. So instead of 1, he has 2, maybe. Ay, ay, ay. Shouldn't be allowed to win with that Protoss skin. The Brood War skins are terrible. Terrible. It's kind of funny. It's like, you know, Cyril winning a lot of his Team League matches. I was kind of getting the, wow, super cool. Cyril wins. So interesting. Especially because he beat my guy. So. But I'm kind of like, it's almost getting that feeling for HeRoMaRinE. It's like, ah, yeah, cool. Terran. Oh, awesome. HeRoMaRinE. Yeah, I'm really excited to cast him. Oh, he won? Oh, it was like super one-sided? Oh. Yeah, I guess that happens. Okay. Well, maybe this next match will be different? Oh. What's that? He just bops the next guy too? Okay, super cool. Alright. It's kind of coming down to a who can tear down HeRoMaRinE Cup. It really is. The top right, it is Skillous. In the bottom left is Blue Terran. He is HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE has not been, like, he's not been undefeated. He drops maps, he doesn't win every single Open Cup, but it does seem like he wins a hell of a lot of them. Showtime will come up and be like, I'm feeling good, I'm looking good, I'm doing good. Get bopped 3-0 by HeRoMaRinE. Okay, well, alright then. Clem will come up, looking on fire, Micro's out of this world, super cool. PvT might be his favorite thing, but like still, comes up the finals, gets 3-1, I think is what happened last week. Who else actually makes it to the finals in these ones? Any Zerg players really make it to the finals? Not that often, actually. Does anyone else think that Zerg is underpowered because they never get to the top 4 of EPT Cups? But yeah, HeRoMaRinE just a little too good. I know he has been defeated by, like, he did lose to Clem in a round of 4 or a round of 8 or something like that in one of the cups. I know that happens, but it you know, as easy as it is to make fun of HeRoMaRinE and what he says on his stream, when he, like, loses to someone and he goes, ah, I just wasn't feeling it today. As easy as it is to be like, oh, excuses, like, I think his bluntness actually contributes to us believing that, right? It's like he's actually just a really honest guy. Maybe to a fault, maybe not. So it seems like HeRoMaRinE only loses when he's either not playing or he's like feeling really off anyways. And to be honest, he sometimes wins when he's feeling off anyway. But enough about him. Bunker coming down, pillars of gold, fronting that high ground. Already a little bit safer, but bunker is safest. Skillous goes for a Stargate opener. I really had no qualms with his build last game. Usually a very nice build. You get a very good economy set up. But I think what sucks is that HeRoMaRinE can be such, you know, everyone knows him as the macro guy and maybe a little bit one-dimensional in that sense, but he's really not. He has a ton of different builds up his sleeve, and even builds he'll be very vocal about thinking are bad, he will do just to throw it out. And I think that he is flexible. So going for a third CC when maybe that wasn't the intention, but he such damn good scouting, like really worked out so that the guy who's going, aha, I'm macroing really well and you can't do anything about it. The other guy goes, well, I'm also macroing really well and you can't do anything about it. And the first guy goes, oh no. HeRoMaRinE did get a scout in the Phoenix, it looks like, as he's building a Cyclone and a Viking. I guess he didn't get a scout in the Stargate, but he saw the Phoenix or something. It's the only reason you'd be seeing these two units out. If it was like Everdream, I might expect like a push, but no, he just must have seen the Phoenix. Only a handful of Phoenix so far, but you see Phoenix, and right now it is still the expectation that it is going to be Colossus, and it might still be. It is not. So Skillous, he grabbed a fairly fast third base, and that's something that HeRoMaRinE is able to scout. So you see Phoenix in a fairly fast third base. It could still be Colossus, as I was saying, but it could also be a charge follow-up, which is coming back into play. Charge up Phoenix used to be kind of common. Adept Phoenix even used to be a thing. But kind of died down. Blink openers became more popular. And now we're getting back to like, okay, you have a couple choices. So HeRoMaRinE should scout. With the Twilight Council coming down and not a robotics bait is going to be into that charge. So the worst thing HeRoMaRinE could do is do one of his typical attacks off of 3 bases. Or, well, let me give it time more than 3 or 2 base. Let's say... I think the worst thing you could do is do an attack willy-nilly between 7 and 8 minutes. But obviously he's attacking before that, which is why I corrected myself. Because he's still going to get a 3rd CC, as you see being planted in the main, but he is attacking before that charge is done. He would also be attacking before a 2nd Colossus would be out. So this is just an attack hoping to catch someone who is greedy. Like, they open up with Phoenix that aren't very strong engagement units, and who also got a 3rd Nexus. Like, this Protoss player is a bit deserving of being slapped down, and it's up to the Terran player to accurately realize that and actually do a decent attack, which HeRoMaRinE absolutely is doing. Charge is not done. Phoenixes can't help very much with the amount of Marines right there. No stim, no combat shields, big delays on those, but the attack timing is well worth it. The combination of the units is well worth it. HeRoMaRinE, you know how many times you actually see someone do this an appropriate attack? This much of an appropriate attack against what Skillous is doing? I would say rarely. Charge is done, so maybe this is the time to hold, but on that ramp, the charge will not be that effective. Good focus fire from HeRoMaRinE as well on top of the Phoenix to bring his tanks back into the fold. They aren't firing too well, as the Zealots are already on top of them, but they got a couple extra shots on the Stalkers. A 3rd tank coming up from behind is going to grab the last couple of Stalkers, and the Marines aren't even quite dead. The medevac healing a little strong. A bunker even finished, and I wasn't even paying attention to that. Did Skillous notice that? What the fuck? When did that finish? Both Zealots get taken out by that hero tank, and Skillous is down to just 2 base mining. His natural is completely compromised. And behind this, HeRoMaRinE has a 3rd CC being lifted over. He's about to start a sim and combat shields. That is currently the worst thing about this build, is that HeRoMaRinE does not have his upgrades. Did he do enough damage to make up for that? Maybe, actually. Honestly, maybe. Maybe this wasn't enough. The Void Ray comes out, helps take care of the medevac, the probes were saved, and the Nexus did not die. So, as good as that looked, I actually don't think it was enough. HeRoMaRinE scans the main. I don't know what exactly he's looking for. He knows it was charged. He saw the Stargate build a void. Like, so that's not what he's looking for. Maybe checking out to see if there were upgrades on the way, like how screwed am I? As well as, you know, either a robotics bay or temple archives being thrown down. I think maybe those are the 2 things he was looking for. But he knows he didn't kill that many probes. They evacuated, and he didn't kill the Nexus. He knows that. So the counterattack coming in here is a bit bold by Skillous, but he has a couple of units that are really difficult to kill. So the SCVs have to be brought forward to help out against the Zealots first and foremost. And with the Marines actually being alive, thanks to those SCV sacrifices, they are going to be able to push back the Void Rays, jump into those bunkers, and HeRoMaRinE will be holding. Skillous, definitely an attack of opportunity. He did not plan this. He doesn't have a warp prism on the way. He is still reinforcing from across town. But HeRoMaRinE holds. And maybe this wasn't really worth it for Skillous. Maybe he should have been focusing more on getting faster double forges and faster storm, and hell, maybe even a faster 4th Nexus. I don't think this attack from Skillous was worth it either. This is a funny game. Skillous has almost 70 workers, so while it is a close worker count, this is about where you'd want to be in a macro game for Starcraft 2. Now it's just like, can I get my 4th base up and running to actually use those 70+ probes? Starting to plant down pylons as well. One of the weaknesses of Skillous is that he doesn't have a lot of observation. A couple of Void Rays doing some scouting is not something I would think I would be saying in PvP. Recloss to be used. So we need to get something out on the map. Something. I like it. Zealot here. Maybe a Zealot in the future goes down here. I don't know why the Marauders are leading the charge. There we go. Pull them back. 1-1 is on the way now. I said here we didn't have any upgrades, but he did start up +1 attack. Now that's done, and now he finally has him in combat shields. So he does have a temporary upgrade lead, but it looks like he is anticipating robotics bay tech. His scan didn't actually reveal anything. He missed the Temple Archives going down, and he might just be trying to give the best guess possible. Also, if it was Storm, they might be in a Warp Prism, but it's actually neither. It was just a focus on gateway units and building up those Archons. Control against the Zealots is very good, especially with that +1 attack over absolutely 0 upgrades. Archons also can be easily target fired, and HeRoMaRinE with a follow-up push looking very, very good. Takes out that last Void Ray as he depowers all the shield batteries. These would be a tremendous help. The Skillous is going to push us back regardless, thanks to the Zealot run-in, warp in. And then Zealots are also running in to the third base of HeRoMaRinE when he has very, very little to defend. It's not going to be too much damage, but a little bit of a distraction. And a couple SCVs. Skillous gets away with his 4th base. It costs him a pretty penny worth of Zealots to hold against that, but if you're going to be sacrificing something, ideally it is those Zealots. Still saved a lot of the Archons, and now has the 1-1 done, and moving on to 2-2, so the upgrades will eventually favor Skillous here after that kind of scary moment. He now has map vision as well. So observers are out, pylons are out, zealots are out. Every corner of the map, every attack path of the map is trying to be scouted, but he is missing... I guess you could argue he's missing 1. And he's actually putting a zealot on that attack path. He has 2 pylons ready to scout this doom drop. The zealot missed it, unfortunately. This observer sees... not an army, but a run by. If Skillous was actually looking at what that blue dot was, he'd know that this is just a distraction, and he needs to prepare somewhere else. Currently, he thinks it's going to be an attack on his 4th base, but it is not. It is an attack right into the main base. He realizes it with the pylon at the last second. He's going to try to respond, but... ooh, I don't know if enough of this is going to, I don't know if it's going to be enough, man. All of his really powerful units are on the left side. It's only Zealots to the main base, and they are getting Sim City to death. Archons and Colossus up in the main, and the Zealots on the left would have been such a better split, but Skillous couldn't have known that. It's still not going to be devastating amounts of damage, but ooh, the upgrades are an excellent target. Oh, I thought those were gateways. Oh, this actually is so good. To take down those upgrades is actually really good. Worth the sacrifice of the bio units, and the medevacs look like they might be able to escape. Left side finds a shield battery, not much else. But this is really bothersome. Skillous is supposed to have an upgrade lead. He's supposed to be able to chrono his 2-2 and go swiftly into 3-3 on 4 bases, and now he is completely reset, back down to 1-1, trying to replace them as fast as possible, but now also working against hidden Widow Mine since the armory is finished up for HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE has EMP Shockwave on the way. He's going up to a 4th base, which is Zealot will see. That doesn't really make Skillous feel so good. He's not dead, but he knows that he's lost a bit of the momentum. And he has lost the biggest lead he had, which is going to be the upgrades. Because right now, his army is getting countered by the EMPs. I actually did not realize he had 3 Colossus already, so that's my bad. So that is also something he has. I thought he was only got 1. 3 Colossus ain't so bad, actually. And HeRoMaRinE doesn't have a lot of Vikings. Okay, so while his ground army might be getting a little bit countered by the enormous EMPs that Terran have, the Colossus are not being countered currently. So he should be feeling okay. I mean, this is still close to the ideal late game for both parties. 4 base to 4 base, all forms of splash versus the counter splash, right? That means that whoever takes the better engagement wins. But the better engagement plus upgrades? Well, that might just go to HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE had a bit of a lack of scouting on the map himself. Wouldn't mind sees the army, and now a scan reveals the true might of it. He's been killing off units on purpose to make room for Vikings, by the way. As he realizes he needs a few more. He's going to be up at 7 against 3, which is not a bad amount. It's actually pretty, maybe more like 8 or 9. I used to say like 10 or 12 would actually be better, but it actually seems like most Terrans are doing well with 8 or 9 against 3 Colossus, so we'll see. Oh my goodness. 15 probes go down to a quadruple Widow Mine drop. 2-2 is done, and Skillous is still waiting on his. He's going to be clicking on the bio units, seeing that I am under-upgraded. Maybe I shouldn't take this. Plus, he's got another thing to go for to actually perfect his army. Not just waiting on upgrades, but I think he should wait for disruptors too. Wood of Mine's not quite off cooldown yet, but they will be in a second. Skillous is absolutely not paying attention. I don't like this push, and he thinks he catches the army off guard, and maybe that will win him the war, but nope, doesn't win him the battle, doesn't win the war. It was too tempting. The army seemed to be out of position. It was going to go up a ramp into a choke. It was so tempting for Skillous to do that push-in, but he still didn't have his upgrades. He didn't have disruptors, and he was losing economy back at home. This was a straight-up disaster. Skillous underestimating HeRoMaRiNE's army right there. And that is GG. Skillous down to sub 100 supply against HeRoMaRiNE's basically still maxed out supply. Not the situation Skillous was really looking for. HeRoMaRiNE 2-0 Skillous, but in a far more interesting final game.